So today we're going to be learning order of operations called PEMDAS, which means powerful eagles may dive at salmon. And that's just one way to remember it. I'll actually teach you what the P, the E, the M, the D, and the A, and the S actually mean. But just think of powerful eagles may dive at salmon to remember the acronym PEMDAS. So a powerful, P for powerful means parentheses. So it means whatever is in the parentheses first, you do. Next is E for eagles or exponents. So exponent is a number that's up in the top right-hand corner, and I'll show you how to do them. M is may, which means multiplication. D is dive, which means division. A is at, which means addition. And S is salmon, which means subtract. So order of operations is when solving a problem, you must solve in the order of PEMDAS. First, the parentheses. So what it means by parentheses, you find the parentheses and do whatever is inside. Then you move on to the exponent. Then you move on to multiplication or division, anything that's on the outside of the parentheses, and then multiplicative, and then addition or subtraction. So here's a couple notes that you can read through that are on your sides. And what I did is I actually made this blank for us so we have room to solve it. But then I actually wrote out the steps for you as well. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to solve the problem inside the parentheses. So give me a second to see if I can get this to work. Oh, there it goes. I had it. There it goes. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do inside the parentheses. So when I look inside the parentheses, I have 9 minus 12 divided by 3 plus 5. So we're going to follow the orders of operation. So the next order of operation, I need to multiply or divide. So the only thing that's being divided is the 12 divided by 3. So that's the very, very first thing you do. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this whole expression. So 2/3 plus 6 parentheses 9 minus. And so instead of doing 12 divided by 3, you're going to write what it equals is 4. And then you write plus 5. So we're still on the side of the parentheses. And we're going to have to do, now we're going to do the order of operation, which is now 9 minus 4. Because you always work the problem from left to right. So since we're just looking inside the parentheses, the subtraction has to go first. And then you add. So you work it from left to right, like how you read a sentence or a word. You start from the left of the word and go towards the right. So the same thing here. It's like I know that the S for subtraction is at the very end, but you add or subtract at the very end depending on which one is first. So we're going to be subtracting first. So 2/3 plus 6. So we're focusing on this. Parentheses, 9 minus 4 is 5 plus 5. So now we're still in the parentheses, but we only have one more step, which is the 5 plus 5. So we're going to do this now. So now we have 2/3 plus 6 parentheses, 10 parentheses. So since the parentheses is now just down to a number, we're done with the parentheses. Parentheses, so the 6 right here, actually, let me talk about the exponent. So now we have our parentheses done. So now we're going to go on to the exponent, the eagles. So the exponent is this 2/3 right here or right here. So 2 to the third power. So 2 to the third power, and I'll write over here, means to do 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So this is equals to 8. So if I did 2 to the fourth power, that means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which would be 16. That's how you do exponents. So 2 times a third is 8. So now you have 8 plus 6 parentheses 10. And now we need to do our multiplication or division. And in this case, it would be multiplication because this parentheses means to multiply. When you have a number on the outside of a parentheses right next to it, like this 6, it means to be multiplying it. So 6 times 10 is 60. So you have 8 plus 60, and then 8 plus 60 is just 80. Excuse me, that's not right. 68. I flipped that around. And I don't know if you can see in the corner. But you'll end up getting 68 as your final answer. So, move on. So this is the first steps we did. So the first thing we did was we did 12 divided by 3 and get 4. We rewrote it. You always rewrite it. And then we did 9 minus 4, which is 5. And then we did 5 plus 5, which is 10. Then we did the 2/3, which is 8. And then we did 8 plus, then we did 6 times 10, which is 60. And then finally, we did 8 plus 60 is 68, is your final answer. That was a pretty big one. But you just take it line by line by line. So just do one every time. Okay, don't try to do all at once because that's when you make mistakes. Okay, so now let's try this one. Now, if you want to pause the video and try it on your own, might be a good idea. And then I'll be doing it here in a second. Okay, so P is for parentheses, but there's no parentheses this time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do E for exponent. So this is our exponent. So that means 3 squared means to do 3 times 3, which is 9. So 3 squared is 9. So now we're going to rewrite this. We're going to write 19 minus 4 times 2 plus 9. So we have our exponent done. Now we need to move on to multiply or divide from the left to right. Well, there's no divide, so we're going to be multiplying. So the numbers that are multiplying is the 4 times 2. So we're going to do 19 minus 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 9. Now we're on to the add and subtract. But we're going to be subtracting first. I know it's last, but we're going to subtract first because it's on the left-hand side. It's before the adding. So we're going to do the subtraction first. So we're going to do 19 minus 8, which is 11, plus 9, which is 20. So your final answer is 20. So, and again, I wrote out the steps for you. So the first thing we did is 3 squared, which is 9. And then we did the multiplication of 4 times 2, which is 8. And then we did 19 minus 8, which is 11, plus 9 is 20. Okay, let's try it again. So, we don't have a parentheses this time, so there's no P. We're going to do our exponent, which is right here. So 5 squared is the same thing as 5 times 5, which is 25. So we 4 times 25 minus 60 divided by 3 plus 2 times 8. So now we're going to move on to our multiplication and division. So we're going to multiply first because that's the first thing that's happening. It's doing 4 times 25. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to do 4 times 25, which is 100. And then so 100 minus 60 divided by 3 plus 2 times 8. Now we're going to have to divide because that's what comes next in the operations. Even though you still do have a multiplication in the back. We still have to divide because we're working it from left to right. So we're going to divide these set of numbers. So 60 divided by 3 is 20. So now you have 100 minus 20 plus 2 times 8. So now we have to finish our multiplication and multiply these two set of numbers. So now we're going to do 100 minus 20 plus 16. Now we can move on to the add and subtract part. So again, we're going to subtract first because it's first in line. We're working from left to right. So now we're going to do 100 minus 20, which is 80, plus 16. So we subtracted these two numbers, and now we're going to add these two. So we're going to do 80 plus 16, which is 96. So your final answer is 96. And then again, I did the steps for you. Okay, so let's try another one. So, hold on, why is it not working? Huh. There it goes. So this one doesn't have any parentheses, so we're not going to do the P. So then we're going to move on to the E for exponent, which is right here. And we've already done 5 squared, which is just 5 times 5, which is 25. So this will be 25 minus 36 divided by 9 plus 8. So now we move on to the multiplying and divide. Well, there's no multiplication. There's only one division, which is right here. So we're going to do 36 divided by 9, which is 4, plus 8. And then we're going to move on to our adding and subtracting. And we're going to subtract first because that's left. So 25 minus 4 is 21. So we subtracted these two numbers. And they're going to add 8, which would be 29. And that'll be your final answer. All right, we're going to do another practice problem. So this one does have parentheses for it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the parentheses. So that means we're going to be doing 9 plus 5, if I can get my board to work. There we go. So we're going to be doing what's inside the parentheses first. So the only thing inside this parentheses is 9 plus 5, which is 14. So now we're going to rewrite everything. So you have 14 divided by 2 times 3 minus parentheses 14. And you can actually take away these parentheses because there's nothing in front of them right here, but you can always leave them. So now our parentheses done and there's no exponents. So we're going to move on to multiply or divide. We're going to divide first because that's what's on the left. So 14 divided by 2 is we're going to divide these two numbers, which is 7 times 3 minus 14. And now we're going to do multiplying these two numbers. So 7 times 3 is 21 minus 14. So then we're going to do 21 minus 14, which is 6. So no, sorry. I was thinking 20 minus 14. That should be 7. I apologize because 14 plus 7 is 21. My apologies. So your final answer should be 7 on problem number 2. Okay, so your homework for today is in a Google form. So make sure to go to your Google form and start doing these problems. I actually already did the first 2 for you for your homework. So you only have 8 more problems to go. Thanks, guys.